I really believe in adventure after another. And so the next adventure you do, anyone does in their career, think about, what are you going to learn? Where are you going to push yourself? And are the people that you're surrounded by going to allow you to fail? And are they going to allow you to be a better version of yourself?
Welcome to the Technical Difficulties Podcast. I'm Liz Gerber and a design professor at Northwestern.
And I'm Lauren Lynn, and I'm a student who has also worked in the design industry. Each week, we speak with women leaders in design and technology.
Welcome back to the Technical Difficulties Podcast, where we celebrate the careers of amazing female designers and technologists. We are so excited to welcome Kris Woyzbun. Kris is a visionary at the crossroads of tech, design, and entrepreneurship. I first met Kris when she was a student in one of the first courses we were teaching at the Stanford Design School. Her creativity, intelligence, and grit were clear from the start. Since then, she's led UX teams at Google and IDEO. She's founded companies, Tableau, and her current startup, Gumption, an AI co-pilot for home design and renovation. Kris's work is all about making design more human and more accessible. With roots in engineering and a deep passion for user-centered creativity, she's built award-winning brands from the ground up. Let's dive into her journey through innovation, impact, and bold design thinking. We can't wait to hear from you, Kris. Thank you for joining us today.
It's so great to be here. Deeply honored, and any chance to chat with you, Liz, is a great way to spend my day.
Oh, speaking of days, warm-up question. What's your favorite way to start your morning?
Oh, well, I have 2 young children, and I would say my favorite way to start my morning is I walk over and press a button on this fabulous espresso maker that we acquired called the Terra Cafe. I'm going to plug it. It is amazing and beautiful, and coffee really is like family and coffee are kind of at the same level sometimes. So I start with coffee. I'm not one of those women that wake up at 5 and go for a 10-mile run. No way. Sleep matters.
No, coffee. Yeah. And what role do the kids play? Do they want to press the button? Do they sit with you as you're drinking coffee? Do they bounce on you and the coffee spills over? Like what's the family role?
They are getting dressed in other rooms. And my son is sometimes just reading quietly in the living room. I have a bookworm for an 8-year-old, so I feel very lucky. And my daughter's figuring out what dress to put on since she's 4. So sparkles and tutus really matter.
They really do. They're underrated, and I think we should reinvest. Thank you for that. Next question, warm up, is what's your favorite creativity tool? Interpret as you like.
Oh man, the age-old tool that I keep going back to is, it's the Post-it. I feel like it's been ingrained in me since the beginning, or just a simple Sharpie and pad of paper. I'm constantly sketching and drawing and frameworking. But currently, it's any of the AI, ChatGPT or Claude. They are my I co-create with them. And it has been a true, true, for lack of a better word, blessing. I would say at this stage in my company, I am absolutely loving AI right now.
Yeah, tell me. So specifically, we'll get into your company in a bit, but specifically as a creativity tool, why is it such a blessing? Like, what is it? What role does it serve for you?
Often, right now, there's only 2 of us in our startup and we're bootstrapping and we're building everything ourselves. So I am the CTO at the moment and I do it.
Which stands for?
Chief Technology Officer. So I am building everything, and it is super empowering to know that I can go to an AI assistant to kind of get sort of feedback on what do you think I should do here? Here's my strategy and what I want to build. And, with my years of experience thinking ahead of scaling or, bringing in data or what have you, or version control, it helps me. It guides me to sort of think out loud. And amongst a million other things, that is something that today has been especially important.
Yeah, the startup phase. Do you think if you were working in a bigger company and had more colleagues, it would play such an important role?
I don't actually know. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be CTO in a SWE role at Google.
Sure.
I definitely see it playing a role in other ways, like copywriting and coming up with quick prototypes. I mean, as designers, we can now actually make our ideas come to life very quickly. And that was something that was blocking us before. And now we have free reign to kind of do anything we want.
Yeah. Somebody said to me the other day, designers can now code and coders can now design. And the kind of the distinction between them is blurring.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think designing, having AI design for you is maybe a different conversation, because I still believe people are creative. AI isn't creative yet.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe it depends on what part of design.
Yeah.
Like you said, the building part. Yeah, it's been a fascinating conversation. Where is creativity in the design process? But you're right, that's another podcast. This one is about how you got started in technology and design. So that's the next question I'm going to ask you, which is exactly that. How did you get started? Did you have an I'm a designer moment, or I should be in tech? I know your background is in bioengineering robotics, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And you did design museum exhibits. You've worked in publishing and fashion. So tell me about the thread that connects those all.
Yeah, I feel like if you look at where I am in my career and what I'm building, it all makes sense. But certainly at the beginning, I did not know what would come of it, 20 years, 30 years later. But my dad's amazing. He's an engineer and was in Stanford's first computer science master's program or PhD program back in the 60s.
Is that right?
Yeah. And when I go to the Computer History Museum, I kind of laugh because, all those big servers and the, slots for cards, when a whole machine was like 25 kilobytes, he's always encouraged me to really take advantage of my passion for making things and solving problems and going for a career that brought all those things together. And so early on, engineering seemed kind of like an obvious thing for me. I loved art. I loved math. I was sort of an A student, but I wasn't, getting 100% in all my tests. But I was, I liked it. I was also a student athlete. I've been running track and field since I was probably 10 or 11 competitively. And really wanted to combine my love of making things and my love of sport. So when I went to undergrad, the goal of it was supposed to be biomedical engineering and robotics, was I really wanted to pursue a career in biomedical kind of soft goods or prosthetics or something in the world that would help athletes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a 3 a.m. in my third year of undergrad. I was up late on, I don't even think it was Google yet. Like it was some search engine. And I was kind of frustrated with my excitement for design, but I didn't know what design was yet. And everyone in my class, they wanted to work at GM or Ford doing engineering around cars or a lot of oil and gas. And I did not want that. That career just didn't appeal to me. And up late at 3 a.m., I discovered the Stanford Product Design Master's program.
Is that right? Okay.
And I had this eureka moment where I got excited that I can bring together my creative self along with my engineering self and pursue this world of product design, which I seriously didn't know existed until that very moment. So I quit the track team.
Whoa.
And I told my coach, because I was very, very tired. I was waking up at 5, then doing my classes, then doing my labs, and still going to practice after. It was just a lot. And I told him point blank, I'm quitting because I want to get into Stanford. And he thought I was nuts.
No way.
He thought I was nuts.
Wait, really?
Yeah. He thought I was nuts. And I probably was, because here, I'm this, this woman in Canada who I'm going to a university in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which was wonderful. But who am I to think I could ever do that? but I was set on it. So I took 2 years after undergrad. I know I needed to have great grades, and I worked at the Ontario Science Centre, which currently is closed, but anyone who's ever been there, it sort of has this exploratorium feel to it. They were both created in 1969.
And San Francisco, a San Francisco establishment.
Yeah. And I use that as a way to kind of build my portfolio of, user-centered design and exhibit design, and that got me into Stanford. So I did it. I got in, and that's sort of what got me into the world of product design from a pretty early age, I would say.
So what happened to prosthetics and working with and for athletes? And then that goes to a broader question, which is you've worked in a lot of different industries, and now you're working in home improvement, and you've worked in fashion, and you've worked in print. So I'd love you to share a bit about how you think about the areas and the domains in which you apply your design skills.
Yeah. I've always been a designer and entrepreneur that creates products for consumer. I feel very strongly that if you're building solutions that help people live a better life, a more delightful life, then as a designer, I feel like that's why I'm there. And my time at IDEO really kind of opened my eyes to the fact that user-centered design is this powerful tool to create movements, products, services, you name it, to help everyday people. And I feel like that is kind of connected. It's sort of a connected thread from the my very first job at Cliff Bar, working with Neil Grimmer, who's ex-IDEO, on
right, and went on to many food.
Yes,
a food entrepreneur, many different things. Yeah. He's a fascinating person to watch in terms of how he brought design to an area that, to my mind, hadn't really been introduced.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
Human-centered design to food. It was a wonderful.
I loved that experience. And then obviously IDEO for almost a decade, where I worked with, food and beverage and sports and government, education, life insurance. I worked with all of these cool companies. But there's a point where you want to do your own thing. The feeling of the entrepreneur, if you wake up every day and you have this itch, this feeling that there's this thing you want to bring to life because it has to exist, then you should act on that impulse. Even though at the time I left my role at IDEO with almost no savings. And then I was pregnant with my son, and we went for it. We were building Tableau, which was a white label software for magazine publishers. And so we worked with Dwell magazine and Vogue. And the idea there was kind of like Pinterest for magazines. And then went on to work at Essence, which is the world's foremost luxury fashion marketplace. And I was really privileged to lead product design and experience design for the whole company, which at the time was 15 years old. And really got the itch to then take what I learned within a marketplace, within fashion. But I was really itching to go back to Palo Alto and be kind of in that Silicon Valley world. And I got this chance to work at Google and this fabulous team that was really creating the long and broad thinking for all of consumer around really Gen Z. What do we do for search assistants and all the other consumer products for the Gen Zer? And I really felt like a kind of a wallflower, to be honest. Going into a company that's at the time 130,000 people, you start to figure out things work differently at that level, at that scale. So you learn a whole bunch of skills that really were sitting there in the background, but I had to, break them out of myself. And then now, after Google, it was back to kind of the same thing as Tableau, where I'm building a startup with my husband. And he and I, through the pandemic, were talking on nights and weekends about what do the 90% of people that don't work with architects and interior designers, what are they doing to reimagine their home? It's been the most incredible journey. And I can tell you more about it in a second. But from the beginning till now, I mean, I'm still user-centered design, still building technology, software. And there's a whole lot of design as part of the ethos of our company and our brand. So it's great. It's fun. I'm living my best life, Liz.
That's awesome. Okay, so many questions that come off of that. Well, like one is like, what's it like to start a company with your husband or significant other? Another question is, what does it mean to be human-centered and create a human-centered company in a world that's increasingly being driven by AI? You're designing an AI platform, but with a human-centered perspective. So can you share a little bit about how you're thinking about that journey, and then tack on maybe a line of what's it like to raise children and raise a company
with your
the
husband.
Same individual?
Oh my God. I'll start with the second question, and then we'll get to the personal stuff. But I've always believed that AI isn't creative, people are. And what we're building with Gumption is it's really a home design companion where we want to empower everyday people to reimagine their home like an expert. And so AI, AR, they're really there in service of empowering you to do that. And so they allow us to democratize that process. But similar to Notion and Canva, we have a whole collection of template designs that are by actual interior designers and architects. So our marketplace brings the coolest designers from around the world to imagine any space for you when you're doing a project. And our tools allow you to connect designs and products that work for your actual space. So we help you go from what do I do to inspiration to shopping and actually implementing your projects.
I love it. I still distinctly remember when the paint company first allowed you to take a photo of your room and put a paint color on the wall.
Yeah.
It was mind-blowing. It was so empowering.
I know.
To me. Right? It was like, oh my gosh, I'm saving so much time and labor imagining this. And so I imagine what you're doing is taking this to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But that was very human-centered, right? It's really hard to go into a paint store and look at a tiny chip and then imagine it in your space.
Well, and when in the kind of the power of using any process that's trying to get it, the thinking behind what someone needs or wants at any point in this process is absolutely important, because I will always believe that your business can only thrive if you're solving a real human need or desire. And the minute you stop doing that, then like the business won't matter anymore. And we truly believe that every prototype, every value proposition thing, every conversation we've had with someone is like really kind of crafted something that feels extraordinarily meaningful. And we feel pride in something that we know will reach millions of people around the world. And I will talk about, do you want me to talk about the husband?
I do. I want to know. People might want to know. Is it the best thing, the worst thing, or what can you say publicly? What would you like to say publicly?
Well, I've been, Darren and I met at volleyball camp in 1998. So we've been together as a couple, as lovies, 28 years this September, and married 10. So, a long time. And it's like, when someone does long distance at college, either it works or it doesn't. And we are of the camp where we did long distance, that worked. And while I have an identical twin sister and a very close family, he is my best friend in the whole world. And, when you find someone that you can't not talk to about every single idea, and I feel lucky that I'm with someone who has completely different skill set, but it complements me. Like everything we're building, it's like it's a yin and a yang. And I feel like I won the lottery in a co-founder and a husband. And so any of those entrepreneurs, the founders who go out to say fundraise and you're talking to VCs. And the minute they hear that you're founding a company with a partner or a family member, a lot of the time they don't like that. And in fact, they won't invest for that reason. They may not tell you that, but there's this perception that is a road to catastrophe. When I actually find that when we're building things together, we can get to the point we're not hurting feelings. We know each other's emotions so well that we're just getting shit done, man. And it feels really good. The only thing I would say for anyone who is, this goes for any founder of any type of company, is how to turn off. That is the hardest part.
Interesting. Perhaps related to this, your life sounds pretty perfect, Kris, maybe with the exception of turning off is hard. So I'm wondering, can I invite you to share a career-defining moment? Maybe it was a failure or a learning moment where you realize, this is not, I thought I was going in the right direction, and it wasn't quite right.
Oh, yeah. I am always kind of of the belief that if someone reaches out, take the call. If there's an opportunity, have the conversation, have the interview, and you never know. And, David Kelly co-founder of IDEO always says, and founder of the D-School, is go where the people are. And I remember specifically in grad school, the career conversation with all of us came out, and I asked him, of these things, what would you do? And he's like, just go where the people are. And so for me, go where the people are. And so there have been a lot of roles that I've held that I look back, I'm like, I wasn't so great at those things because my heart was actually somewhere completely different. And when I joined Google, I joined in an operations role, and I wanted to see what it felt like from, building my own companies and consulting at IDEO. I always felt that I'm an exceptional operator, not only what to build, but how to build it and who to bring on.
I love that you own that. I love that you own that. You own that. You're an exceptional operator.
I am.
You own it.
The reason I did it was to practice a different part of my skill set, to try something different and to learn. And I love learning. Being a founder again, I get to exercise all of those things at once, which it feels really good.
Can you help me understand something you said earlier about the advice to go where the people are?
Yeah.
And also following your heart.
Yeah.
So one sounds kind of outward oriented and the other one sounds inward. So help me understand how you think about those two working together.
Go where the people are. Sometimes it's a feeling. So I believe that in life, when you are, say, in college, people have those conversations about what does the next 5 to 10 years look like for you? And a lot of undergrads I sit with will say, well, I want to do my MBA and then start a company and work at and it's like this, they've laid out this whole path for themselves that feels like holding 15 teacups in two hands, where if one drops, it doesn't go the way you planned. So I really believe in adventure after another. And so the next adventure anyone does in their career, think about, what are you going to learn? Where are you going to push yourself? And are the people that you're surrounded by going to allow you to fail? And are they going to allow you to be a better version of yourself? It won't be perfect. People are going to have crap jobs and they're going to learn but the point is learning what that next adventure is and the people they surround themselves with. And it's not everyone, but if you get a really good feeling from a team and the job may not be completely what you want, actually maybe being surrounded by that team is a lot more important because they're going to allow you to try new things and truly shine.
So maybe it might be a qualification of not go where the people are, but go where the good people for you are.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Well, and I've been in interviews where red flags are just they're just going off like crazy. And you think that, okay, maybe this was just the feeling of the day. And but then you take that job and you go and you're like, oh no, those like red flags actually got worse.
Yeah, right. That was just the beginning.
Yeah, so don't ignore those red flags.
Yeah. Somebody just complained about having their first interview be done by an AI bot. Not a human being. So imagine this. I'm real, just to be clear, Kris, this is real. But what, and I was thinking about that, like, wow, to me, that would be a red flag. And this person said they hung up halfway through. They just were like, I cannot work for a company where they will not put, a human being in front of me for the interview after they had passed a couple of the initial, screeners and et cetera. I thought that was interesting. How do you think you deal with an AI interviewer? If I told you I was actually an AI bot, how do you think you'd feel right now?
Terrible. I would fail that interview. But I was terrible at standardized tests.
Yes, I was too.
Like the classic one is for the DMV, if a school bus is stopped in front of you, when do you start driving? When the stop sign goes up, when the kids have crossed the road, or when it just starts driving or something. And I was thinking, well, you go when the kids have gone. Like, that's what I would think. But that's the wrong answer. It's the stop sign goes up because you're trusting the driver. But then you start, anyway, I could not do well with an AI interviewer.
So, Kris, I knew we have a lot in common, but I failed my driver's test
Me too,
the first time.
Twice.
Because maybe this is actually a signal of success. I was waiting for a biker to pass. And I was docked for waiting for the biker to pass. I think we're human-centered designers. I think we're waiting for the people to do what they needed to do versus follow the rules of the road that wouldn't necessarily make sense. And to be clear, no one was behind me. I was not slowing anyone down. So there were no other accidents happening.
Well, and I think analyzing, not being over analytical, but analyzing situations from different vantage points and also trying to think about what everyone else is thinking in that situation is kind of classic us. It's what makes us so drawn to this field, but also makes us terrible at standardized tests.
Well said. Okay, so 2 last questions.
Okay.
One is, you are a learner. You've already confessed. And so the question I have for you is, what is something you still want to learn or do?
Oh man, this year has been, and you mentioned like my life sounds perfect. Well, there have been many pits of despair moments where things literally break. Like we had a bug yesterday and I thought I broke, the server-side engineering, and it ended up being fine. But I built, I built a part of our platform that's connected to hardcore servers. And I did that all by myself. Yeah. So I pride myself in being open to learning and knowing that nothing is impossible if you give yourself the kind of the room to take things step by step, and you could kind of achieve anything. I am still learning how to prioritize myself over my work and my children. I saw this meme on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, stop buying your children clothing and go and buy yourself a bra. And I laughed so hard because it's so like, Liz, when's the last time you bought a bra for yourself?
Oh, that is so that is, yes, I relate to this comment.
And I laughed so hard, but I was like, oh my God. Like, those stores you walk by where there's bras and there's a woman there that'll like size you. Like, I've never been in a place like that. So
yeah, no, because yeah.
So it's so the one.
Sorry, I'm still laughing because it's so relatable.
So true. Yes. And my how many times I like being up here in right now I'm in cottage country in Canada where my parents live, and my children are lucky to go to these true outdoors camps during the day camps. And my husband and I work from the kitchen table. at my parents' house, and in the evenings we get to go swimming and running. And so up here we find the balance, but it's for 4 weeks a year. And the rest of the year, it's a bunch of compromises, and I don't know why we always come last, but I recognize that there's a problem, so I'm trying every day to put myself first sometimes, but that's something that I'm still learning.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I really relate, and I wish you well in that journey.
Thanks.
The final question is about unexpected advice you have for somebody entering the field of design or tech or entrepreneurship. You choose.
Oh, man. Unexpected advice. This is one of those pieces of advice that someone gave me when I was in grad school. And I don't even know who told me, but I want to thank that person that I don't remember. But I remember we were lucky to be at one of the coolest universities on the planet. And we had access to these luminaries in academics and tech and design. And so every chance I took to just do office hours or get a coffee, like I wanted to learn and meet people. And, some people say, what are you reading or what are you listening to? And I can name all those things. But for me, it's like, who are you talking to? And, everyone is a person. Just because they're famous or they've been published or, maybe there's certain people that are hard to get to, but you never know until you try. And so when you're starting your career, like design is always changing, and, don't pigeonhole yourself to say, I am this in design, because that'll change. But who are you talking to? That's what I would ask. And I have been able to access so many amazing people by literally writing an email address that I think is their email address, or writing on LinkedIn, and not everyone writes you back, but and it's just meeting interesting people to see what they've done, and it has served me so well in my career so far.
Well, Kris, thank you so much. That's precisely what you did for me. I reached out to you and you said yes.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your stories with us, Kris. And thank you to our listeners for listening to the Technical Difficulties podcast, produced by the Center for Human-Computer Interaction and Design and the McCormick School